Happy weekend, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Africa Good Morning. Now, we are bringing you the news-making headlines from now until 8 a.m., and that is across all of Africa. Now, my name is Aina Raisa Koyo, and alongside me, Ashwin Berry.
Yes, and today is Petroleum Day. Petroleum gets a terribly bad rep most of the time these days, and of course, it is true that it has contributed to the pollution of our planet. However, petroleum is not just used for cars. It is also a key ingredient in other substances we use on an everyday basis, including plastic, detergent, rubber, fertilizers, pesticides, paint, photographic film, makeup, candles, and many medicines. In other words, petroleum is a key part of the 21st century life. Petroleum Day is a chance for people to realize just how big a part it plays in our lives and celebrate all the things that this resource provides. However, the unfortunate truth is that this resource is a finite one. So Petroleum Day gives people the opportunity to focus on ways of conserving petroleum and using it wisely. Here's a video on Petroleum Day.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our top stories this morning, Ethiopia Rights Commission says 150 people killed in attack in Oromia. Gunmen killed at least 150 people last week in western Ethiopia in an attack by an armed group against local residents, the state-appointed Ethiopian Human Rights Commission said on Thursday. The commission said residents in the Oromia region of Eastern Wolega told investigators the gunmen were from the Oromo Liberation Army, which splintered from the formerly banned opposition Oromo Liberation Front. Ethiopia has been embroiled in a conflict that flared 9 months ago in the northern Tigray region and which has spread to other areas. The government has also struggled to contain other outbreaks of ethnic and political violence over land and resources.
Uganda, South Sudan in talks over rampant fatal road ambushes. Uganda and South Sudan are in talks over a growing number of deadly ambushes on South Sudanese territory targeting transit trucks. Okello Oryem, Uganda's Minister of State in charge of international affairs, is in South Sudan's capital Juba to discuss stopping the ambushes with his counterparts, according to a statement issued by Uganda's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The government of Uganda a few days ago received with deep shock and concern the killing of Ugandans and destruction of goods along this stretch of road. The government of Uganda has expressed its concern in the past and once again condemns the killings, said a statement issued in Uganda's parliament by John Mulimba, Minister of State in charge of regional operation. In April, Uganda asked South Sudan to compensate families of drivers who were killed by unknown militia in different road ambushes.
In Tanzania, gunfire erupts near French embassy where 5 people were killed. Tanzania's president on Wednesday said 5 people are dead, including 3 police officers, after a gun battle with an armed man near the French embassy in Dar es Salaam. It was not immediately clear whether the shootout in the heavily guarded diplomatic area was a terror attack. Liberato Saba, Tanzania's head of police operation, said the gunmen attacked two police officers, took their guns, and then began shooting sporadically towards the French embassy. Inspector General of the police, Simone Siro, told reporters the armed man was a foreigner and the police believe he was from Somalia.
In our next story, Malawi braces for another election challenge case. Malawi's Constitutional Court has agreed to hear a challenge to last year's presidential election rerun from the opposition Democratic Progressive Party. President Lazarus Chakwera defeated the DPP's Peter Mutharika in the rerun after the court nullified the 2019 election, which Mutharika had won. The DPP argues the rerun should also be nullified after the High Court quashed the appointment of 4 DPP commissioners to the Malawi Electoral Commission. The DPP party wants the court to also invalidate the rerun election because it was managed by commissioners who it says were wrongly appointed. They argued that the Malawi constitution does not recognize an election that was presided over by undeserving commissioners. In the meantime, the Constitutional Court has set aside Monday next week to decide whether to proceed with the case, and if so, how.
15 Afghans arrive at Entebbe as several Ugandians trapped in Kabul. 51 Afghan evacuees arrived at Entebbe International Airport in Uganda Wednesday morning following a 15 August Taliban takeover in Kabul. Available information shows that they had been booked into Resort Beach Hotel in Entebbe. However, scores of Ugandan nationals remain trapped in a now militant-led Afghanistan due to challenges of accessing the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul. Western media reported that U.S. President Joe Biden would obey the deadline to pull American forces out of Afghanistan following 24 August talks with a group of 7 nation counterparts. Those remarks are falling as tens of thousands of horrified Afghans continue to flee amidst uncertainty and chaotic scenes, even as the Taliban encourage them to stay.
Guinea-Bissau, U.S. offers $5 million reward for information leading to arrest of Guinea-Bissau's ex-army chief. The U.S. Department of State is offering a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Guinea-Bissau's former head of armed forces, Antonio Njai. He is accused of leading a criminal organization which took an active part in drug trafficking in Guinea-Bissau and the region for many years. Even while serving as head of the Guinea-Bissau Armed Forces, the statement said. Between June and November 2012, Njai agreed to receive and store multi-ton quantities of cocaine purportedly owned by the FARC, which he understood would be sold for the benefit of the FARC. Njai and other co-conspirators agreed to purchase weapons, including anti-aircraft missiles, for the FARC using drug proceeds, and established a front company in Guinea-Bissau to complete the illicit weapons transactions. Njai was charged in 2 indictments, an initial indictment filed on 12 December 2012 and a superseding indictment filed on 8 January 2013.
Pope against modern slavery. Pope Francis called humanity to work together to eradicate the atrocious scourge of modern slavery in a message on the International Day of Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. Let us work together to eradicate the atrocious scourge of modern slavery that still chains millions of people to inhumanity and humiliation. The Pope adds that each human being is an image of God and is free and destined to exist in equality and fraternity. Throughout the pontificate, Pope Francis has denounced modern slavery.
Now in Namibia, making the world a better place, one child at a time. Taking a tour through the 60-year-old orphanage, it is hard to tell who of the 26 children are her own and who are not. Shalukeni is the founder of Megameno Children's Home in Windhoek, which means protected by God. The orphanage was officially opened by former Minister of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare, Marlene Mungunda, on 20 February 2009. When asked why she chose the life of a caregiver. Shalukeni says after her husband passed away in 2002, she simply did not consider remarrying, but rather wanted to serve the nation by helping vulnerable children. Some of the children were brought to her after being dumped at hospitals and other locations, she said. Registering them with the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security for birth certificates is a challenge. Since I do not know who their parents are, I register them under my surname and I give them names, she said. Shalukeni and her late husband had 5 children of their own, but this did not stop her from being a mother to those who will never know their own mother's love. Her late husband shared her big heart since he used to bring home children to take care of before Megameno became an official orphanage. She says, all I want is to give them the love they never experienced from their biological parents. I am their father and mother at the same time, she says.
Lovely. Now, ingenuity explosion kills 2 children in Kwanza Norte. 2 children died in the aftermath of an explosion of unexploded mortar in the Terra Nova village, which is in Angola. According to Obaldo Damia, head of operations of Municipal Police Command in Kambabe, the children aged between 4 and 7 were playing in a cultivated area when they found the mortar and began to play with the object. The father and mother went to the field with the children. They entered the cassava planting area and found 60 milliliters of mortar next to the boab tree. It exploded, which led to the immediate death of the 2 children, said the police official speaking to the Angolan Public Radio.
In our next story, 13-year-old Senegalese twin girls graduate high school with impressive scores. Their father fought to make them skip grades in school. The 2 Senegalese twins achieved fame in their country by passing their high school diploma at the age of 13. Aminata and Rama Diao, born on 8 October 2007, have just obtained their diploma in Yeoumbeo, a popular suburb of Dakar, in their high school known as an institution of excellence. We were stressed. We had to succeed for our family, especially our father, who did everything to get us to this point, Aminata explained shyly while receiving AFP journalists at her home with her sister, their mother Marie Diao Diop Diao, and their father Demba Diao. President Macky Sall praised the performance of the twins' baccalaureate Tuesday in Dakar at a ceremony to reward the best students of Senegal, which they were his special guests. The state will provide you with all the necessary support to continue your studies, he promised.
In our next story, Daily Trust invites nominations for African of the Year 2021 awards. A leading independent newspaper in Nigeria, Daily Trust, has called for the nomination of exemplary personalities for the coveted African of the Year Award 2021. Nominations are open as of the 22nd of August 2021 to midnight 22nd October 2021. CEO of the Media Trust Limited publisher Daily, Master Nura Dwara, said ideal nominees should be ordinary Africans who have made extraordinary contributions to humanity in any field from any part of the continent. Master Dwara disclosed the award consists of 3 components, namely a permanent plaque, a certificate of merit, and a cash reward in aid of the awardee or his chosen charity project. Valid entries for the 2021 award will be for work, events, or activities undertaken by the nominees between the 1st of October 2021 and the September 30th, 2021. Nominations are to be made online at award.dailytrust.com. I think you should enter.
I should enter you, right? I can do that. That's not a problem at all. All right. In the last of our top stories, PepsiCo to reduce water consumption impact south of Sahara to become net water positive by 2030. This is PepsiCo's ambition for the current decade. The American soft drink giant wants to implement this ambitious strategy in all the countries where its factories are located around the world. The goal is to reduce absolute water use and return to more than 100% of the water used at company-owned and partner-owned sites in high-risk water areas to the local watershed. As part of an initial $58 billion investment plan, PepsiCo wants to support access to clean water in sub-Saharan Africa. According to the New York State-based company, the partnership with WaterAid will improve water infrastructure, build new water systems and equitable sanitation facilities, and promote hygiene education. It will also enable women women and girls to become guardians of water, sanitation, and hygiene in their communities by providing them with the funding and training to maintain water points and sanitation facilities for years to come. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. You know Africa Good Morning has so much more for you. All you need to do is hold on until after the break.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Anita Gereses talks about life in the informal settlement, about helping girls stay in school by providing them with sanitary towels and feeding children whose parents are not able to. And here is more on that.
Informal. Across the world, in every single town or city, there are informal settlements in which hundreds and thousands of people live. Many of the women in these informal settlements try to uplift each other and help each other with their basic daily needs. Girls stay out of school during the menstrual cycle because of the lack of sanitary towels. It is a worldwide problem, and although a lot of projects are ongoing trying to provide these girls with sanitary towels, the problem is huge and does not reach each and every girl in the informal settlement. Here in Namibia, Anita Gereses tries to provide girls with sanitary towels so that they can stay in school.
Okay. My name is Anita Gereses. I'm staying in Okanja Park in settlement. Actually, it's not a settlement, at Okanja Park Villas, Republic of Okanja Park at the Villas. And right now, all these years, I'm helping few people with some food wherever I could, some children with school stationery, school uniforms for all these years. So, and all these years, my son, late son, he died in a car accident here at this road. He brought some friends, and those friends later on he brought some kids that used to eat at my house. So later on, that kids turned out to get used to stay here. And after my son even passed away, that kids proceed to stay. So all these years, I'm taking care of different tribes of kids together with my own biological ones. And the total is just growing. The more every year I'm having this kid who needs this for school, this one needs, and later on I start to take in the parents also, because when the kids are hungry and you give them food, they are taking those food to the mother, and at the end the child is still hungry. So I start to help even the parents with some food, different parents, so that the kid can enjoy its own plate. And then I start to help girls with sanitary pads. There's one school where my daughters are going to school, so I also help them, because most girls, when they are on that time, they don't go to school. So I start to help the school to have extra sanitary pads. If the kids want, they can just run to the life skill teacher to ask, teacher, it's this time, and then the teacher can assist with that. So right now, it's what I'm doing, helping. I also lost my job, but it's now only that people are starting now to take me in to assist them wherever I can.
Because as a kid, also sometimes you did not have food, so an empty stomach.
Yeah, as a kid, it was times me and my friends used to pick up these orange peels. I don't know nowadays how is the oranges, but those times the orange peels was nice, and then you drink water. We used to eat. There were specific things on the trees that we collect, like gums and things, and we used to eat. So it's where I actually pledged to say, if I grown up, I will never let another child go hungry to bed. And I even suffer as a young girl with sanitary pads. I used to use my aunt's pantyhose, fold it up and use it as pads. So it's where I decided, as long as I can, I will make, even if I don't have it on myself, I will go and buy a pad and give it to a girl, because I know how it feels to be unsure whether the menstruation already passed through. If you don't have a pad, you are not comfortable. Actually, wherever you are not comfortable. So it's why I make sure, if somebody come and ask, to give a packet of pads for those kids. So
It was also growing up as an orphan, and Christmas was not fun.
no, Christmas was not fun, in mostly after my grandmom passed away, because like people don't understand, if you are an orphan of not and you are staying with another people, it's very difficult, because people already got their budgets for their children, so you are just like an outsider. So sometimes you will see how many gifts the other kids are getting, and I used to feel like a burden to people. It's why I never enjoy it, because you will see the people's kids are having lot of gifts, and you will not maybe get, or you will just get from one of the kids who will say, take this, or you will get the leftover clothing of. It was a hard time for me. I've never enjoyed Christmas. Christmas was a sad time. It's supposed to be a good time, and it's how come every year I'm making this Christmas party. It starts as a small group of 20, 15 kids, and later on it grows. Like last year, the kids was over 200, and then I decided, okay, let I also take like elders, and I was having 20 elders, and really they enjoyed themselves. I give them everyone something to eat with a cool drink, and then I give them some Christmas bags with gifts in, chips, cupcake, stockies, everything that I can put in there. So I'm doing little Christmas bags for them. I'm giving them something to eat, and I'm making for them music with Christmas songs, and they are enjoying.
And now with COVID, it is also people are losing their jobs.
Yet, with COVID already, there was few ladies that was willing to stand up and work. And with COVID, a lot of people suffered. A lot of people were scared to bring, because we are using this community transport, and most of the people, employers were scared the workers can bring for them the disease, because we are stuck in one taxi, like 5, or even in these little mini buses, it's like 50 people that is in those spaces. So people were scared these employees can brought for them the disease, and most people have been told to stay at home. And with that one, it brings the hunger. The poverty was very tough. Well, there was people who was working like a full week, and they was told, no, you can only come in for 2 days. So usually when you are getting a full week salary, you already budget, but when you hear it's like 2 days and you are getting like 120, then it's not fair. It's not fair, but you will never come out with it.
But everybody does what they can.
Yeah. Serious. We stand together. When a house burns, you will see how everybody will run just to try to run to the tap, collect water, because usually fire brigades even takes a while before they reach here, because here we don't have roads, and sometimes the area for the fire brigade to pass through the car because it's huge cars, it's difficult. So usually the community, if there is a funeral, you will see they will help, even if they just give their attention, even if they just help to clean up the house, even if they just come to help cook, they are help. Yes, Ubuntu. We got the Ubuntu. It takes a village to raise a child. It's heavens here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning, where we continue to bring you the news and current affairs happening in the SADC region and beyond. And what is really unique about this show is this decentralized view. We put you exactly where the news is at. And right now we're going to find out what is happening in Botswana from Boto Tswetla. Good morning, Boto. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Boto, now in your first story, De Beers partners with National Geographic to protect source waters of the Okavango Delta. Could you tell us about this?
Yes. The BS and National Geographic announced the launch of Okavango this week. It is said to be a landmark partnership to protect the source waters of the Okavango Delta and the lives and livelihoods they support. This fund is said to be focused on working together with communities in the Okavango to deliver ecological solutions that collective economic opportunities. They aim to provide on the ground support and fund and accelerate work already underway, helping to establish sustainable local livelihoods in harmony with the local's conservation. This partnership for protecting the natural and supporting teas and settlements across Botswana, Namibia, as well as Angola. In Botswana, this partnership's main focus is protecting natural world in many different ways, as well as supporting local communities and raising awareness of the Okavango Delta and its benefits through compelling storytelling, to name just a few. This is a clear focus on identifying the best ways to support the government with its response to the immediate challenges by COVID-19.
All right, the Limpopo University is set to increase tertiary access. Please tell us more.
The University of Technology wing, it says that it will continuously play a critical role in the knowledge-based economy by being a channel for developing and facilitating integration into the wider social innovation system to grow and develop of Botswana. This university announced that in this year, the academic intake, it will be offering new programs aimed at assisting self-sponsored students with access to tertiary education. The university said that it found it fitting to give out up to 50% scholarships to selected groups of potential students that are unable to get sponsorship, as well as its very own graduates that are looking to expand or upgrade their studies.
All right. Now, in your last
It'll
story, Boto, sorry to cut you off, we're running out of time a little bit, but could you tell us about Botswana bagging medals at the Under-20 World Athletic Championships? It's exciting news.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Our sprint sensation, Letsile Taboro, recorded a historic double as he bagged a gold medal in the 100 meters category and a silver medal in the 200 meters category at the Under-20 World Champions in Nairobi. This makes him the very first ever to record a podium finish in the short sprint category in a global competition. Taboro won the final last week with an improved time as he clocked 19. This was Botswana's second ever gold medal in the competition. Nigel Amos, who won it in 2012.
All right, we certainly hope that Botswana can get more gold medals. That looks like a shining star. We'll be keeping an eye on him. Thank you very much, Boto, for bringing us the news from Botswana.
Thank you.
All right, now all of us are obviously hoping that the sun is hitting our face as brightly as it's hitting Boto's face, but we can only hope and watch the weather forecast up next.
Happy Friday, and thank you very much for joining us. Nangula Uyanja, CEO of Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, elaborates on the strategy that the new body intends to follow over the next 24 months to attract more investment to Namibia. Here's more on that.
Joining us, my name is Nangula Wanja. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, and I would like to take you through our 24-month strategy. For the past few years, since 2015 around, we can see that we have experienced challenges with regard to attracting foreign direct investment. We have just put there a small graph that is comparing us, for example, to a country like Rwanda, and you say historically, Namibia has been able to attract good amounts of foreign direct investment. And that's why those years that we were growing quite well up to 2015, it was because of government spending, but also because of foreign direct investment. But as you can see there with the blue line, we can see that that spending since about 2015, foreign direct investment has started to go down. And in the past year, it has actually become negative. So if we want to grow investment, and this is where we are, then we need to find out what can we do. So how do we start? We want to attract the private sector, but these are some of the views that the private sector currently has with regard to Namibia. So number one, they say our pace is a little bit counter industry. So they say we are slow in making decision. We allow, or we actually leave investors to devise their own means. It also says that there is politics dictate private sector. So there is blurred lines between politics and private sector. There is little understanding of what private sector's role is. And then the local businesses are also hostile to foreign investors. Then we talk about bureaucratic processes. We have got too many permits are required, and the process are disjointed. So the coordination needs to improve. Then there's a point of saying we are not very committal. We are urgent to invite investors, so we go out and say, come invest in Namibia, the best place in Africa. And then when they come, we do little to remove the bottlenecks, and then we are not always responsive. And then say people precede processes. Because of those processes that are missing, then it's about you call somebody that you know so that they can help you. Say, please help me, I need this application to go through. Can you help me with this application? So instead of having a definite process that is open, that is understandable to everybody, saying this is with follow, sometimes we kind of do not have that process, and therefore an investor will need to devise their own understanding of the process. With regard to operating in Namibia, it's not very easy. And it's starting a business, we are rated very poorly. Registering a property, we are rated poorly. Trading across borders, we are rated poorly. And resolving insolvency. So there are areas where we are doing well. So dealing with construction permit, it's not that bad compared to others. Enforcing contracts, it is something where we are doing better there. Getting credit, not a big problem. So of course we need to identify which areas are challenging for us that we need to look at. And I believe it is because of that understanding that His Excellency decided to establish the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board. Most countries that we focused on. And you will see that there is only one country there that is outside the African continent, and that is Singapore. And Singapore is because it is the #1 rated country in the world for ease of doing business. So then we have got other African countries that you will see probably there that there is no countries with larger market. There is basically countries which are relatively smaller market countries, and some of them that are in our neighborhood. 24 months. We want to unlock investment that will create new quality jobs, new quality sustainable jobs. These are the ones that we want to be directly involved in, or to say, how do we get projects that we will facilitate? Of course, we want to see more projects that are coming that do not have the involvement of the board, but the environment should have been made so easy to operate that more investors are coming to Namibia in respect of whose project we are not even involved. But we are saying as a board, at least if we can try to target and be involved in project worth 1 billion, and also making sure that there is breaking ground. So it's not just a matter of talk. There has to be some activities that have happened. And then how do we make sure that there is increase in FDI flows? And then how do we establish new sectors? Recently, myself, the Minister of Finance, and the Director General of the National Planning Commission, we're talking at the Talk of Nation, and we talked about the new diversification strategy for Namibia. And we want to come up with new sectors. In the past years, since 2004, Namibia has added about 19 new products to our export basket. We need to add more.
If you've had COVID-19 before, do you still need a vaccine? How long should you wait after recovery to get vaccinated? What do we know about natural immunity versus vaccine-induced immunity? WHO's chief scientist, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, explains this in Science in 5.
If you have COVID-19, do you still need to get vaccinated? How long should you wait before vaccination? Hello and welcome to Science in 5. I'm Vismita Gupta-Smith and these are WHO's Conversations in Science. We are talking to WHO's Chief Scientist, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. Welcome, Soumya. Let's start with, if I have COVID-19, do I still need to get vaccinated?
After getting COVID, people do get an immune response, but this varies from person to person and it depends on whether you had a mild infection or whether you had more severe infection. And we know from many studies now that if you've had a very mild or asymptomatic infection, then many people may have very low levels of antibodies that they form. So this is why we still recommend that even if you've had COVID infection, that you should go ahead and take the vaccination when it's available to you, because the vaccine then serves as a boost to the immune system. So the immune system's already seen the infection once, it's seen the virus when you had the natural infection, and then when you receive the vaccine, it sees the antigens again, it's reminded of the antigens, the memory gets boosted, and the immune response generally gets stronger and broader and is likely to be more long-lasting.
Soumya, how long should I wait after a COVID infection to get vaccinated?
Well, you can take the vaccine actually once you've recovered from COVID. So waiting for a few weeks is recommended. You should have no symptoms at all and you should feel perfectly well when you take your vaccination. However, there are differences between countries. Some countries recommend that people wait for 3 months or 6 months till after the infection. And this is because you have natural antibodies, which will keep you protected for at least that long. And because there are shortages of vaccine supplies in many countries, they are requesting people who've had the infection to wait for 3 or 6 months. But from a scientific and a biological point of view, you can take the vaccine as soon as you've fully recovered COVID. At this point of time, we are not sure of exactly the level of neutralizing antibodies that offer protection against an infection. And therefore, we do not recommend that individuals go and get antibody testing done in order to confirm whether they have immunity or not. We have to wait again for more data on what the correlate of protection is.
Soumya, what have we learned so far about immunity that is induced after an infection of COVID-19 versus immunity induced by the vaccines?
The type of immunity that's developed after natural infection varies from person to person and is very difficult to predict. Vaccines have been standardized in terms of the dose of the antigen that's being administered, and this was based on many clinical trials that have been done. And so when someone receives a vaccine, we can be fairly confident and predict the kind of immune response they will get, of course, in the majority of people. So that's the main difference between natural infection-induced immunity and vaccine-induced immunity. There are very interesting studies going on now to look at the immune response when somebody has dose of a vaccine after having had natural infection, and also when two different vaccine types are given one after the other. So the so-called mix and match approach. And scientists believe that perhaps this type of a hybrid approach might actually give us a much stronger immune response than just natural infection alone or giving a vaccination with the same vaccine alone. But these are interesting ideas, and we have to wait for the data to come from the studies. We are very confident now that all the vaccines that have received emergency use listing from WHO prevent severe disease and hospitalization due to all the existing variants of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. However, we still believe that taking the personal precautions like wearing a mask, maintaining distance, maintaining hand hygiene, and avoiding crowded and closed places, as well as the other public health and social measures that governments have put in place, are necessary because not enough people in the world are vaccinated. And so wherever you live, it is good to take those precautions in addition to being vaccinated, because that's what's going to drive infection rates in the community down.
Thank you, Soumya. That was Science in 5 today. Until next time then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
I live in a country with abundance of some of the highest quality diamonds in the world. They have become the heritage and endowment of the Namibian people. Proceeds from the diamond sales are invested by the Namibian government to expedite infrastructure development, healthcare services, and education for the benefit of all Namibian people. But I guess the question that we really need to answer is, who am I? I am the custodian of Namibia's diamonds. I am Namdia. I'm Namibian.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Right now it's time for us to get into your economic news stories. And we start off in Namibia. Largest proposed listing by a Namibian company since founding of local bourse. MTC primary listing on the main board of the Namibian Stock Exchange has been approved by the NSX, the mobile service provider announced on Friday. 49% of ordinary shares in MTC will be made available to the general public during the public offer, which will open on 20 September 2021. In a statement issued on 20 August, MTC invited the public to subscribe for shares, stating that listing will provide an opportunity for all MTC customers, staff, stakeholders, and the public in general to acquire MTC shares and participate in the ownership of MTC. The company said in the event that the public offer is oversubscribed, the order of the allocation process will first be to previously disadvantaged Namibians. The offer to subscribe for shares is expected to close on 1 November 2021 at 1200 hours.
In our next story, East Africa EAC tourism sector lost 4.8 billion US dollars, 2 million jobs. The East African region lost more than 4.8 billion and 2 million jobs in the tourism sector in 2020 due to the pandemic, according to a new report. The August report titled EABC Studies on the Impact of COVID-19 on Selected Sectors, Tourism and Hospitality Industry, Light Manufacturing Sector and Agriculture and Food Security found that 4.2 million foreign tourists were not able to travel to their preferred East African community destinations. It estimated that the tourism jobs in the region dropped from about 4.1 million to 2.2 million, said John Kalisa, EABC Chief Executive Officer, adding visitors to National Park declined significantly by about 65% and therefore negatively affected wildlife conservation efforts in the region. The study also shows that the bed occupancy in hotels significantly dropped during the pandemic.
In our next story, Kenya, Tanzania set December deadline to remove trade barriers. The decision came out of a meeting of the Joint Commission on Cooperation, a bilateral organ comprising officials from the two countries created to resolve issues affecting areas of cooperation. The five-day meeting in Nairobi, which ended on Tuesday, indicated that nearly half of the barriers that have consistently plagued trade between the two countries have been resolved, and that the remaining would be ironed out within the next 4 months. On trade, the JCC took note of the progress made by the Joint Trade Committee in addressing 30 out of 64 challenges facing bilateral relations and urged the resolution of the remaining 34 issues before the end of December 2021, a joint dispatch from the JCC said on Tuesday. The JCC signed a memorandum of understanding on Tuesday to guide the demarcation of the 800-kilometer border, which will reaffirm the boundary on the basis of existing treaties and recognized practice between both countries.
More financial misery for ANC staff as party says it won't pay July and August salaries. Already frustrated ANC staff will have to endure more financial misery after the ruling party told them on Wednesday morning that it was not in a position to pay them their monthly salaries. In an internal letter sent out by the party's general manager, Febe, and copied to the likes of Paul Machile and the Treasurer General, the staff was told Lutuli House finances were not in a good shape to have them paid. It is not the first time the ruling party is struggling to pay its staff, which includes those based in Lutuli House and those in 9 provinces and several regions. Amongst the full-time staff of the ANC are provincial and regional secretaries, administration officers, and in Lutuli House, the party pays the salary of the Treasurer General, Secretary General, and the Deputy Secretary General, and their staff and their support staff.
All right, now in Namibia, only 57 jumbos out of 170 sold through ministry's auction. The Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism this week announced that they managed to successfully sell 57 out of the 170 wild elephants which were put on tender in December 2020, which closed on 29 January 2021. The ministry spokesperson Romeo Muyunda, in an update on Wednesday, said the auction attracted 5 bidders, of which only 3 were successful. The auction is said to have generated 5.9 million Namibian dollars. According to Muyunda, the 170 elephants that were put on auction includes 30 from Omashete area, 50 from Kamanja commercial farming area, 60 from Grootfontein Havango cattle ranch area, and 30 Grootfontein Tsumkwe area. With this auction, we intend to reduce elephant numbers in specified areas to minimize human-elephant conflicts, which has become persistent, leading to extensive damages to properties, life losses, and a disruption of people's livelihoods, Muyunda said. The funds generated through this auction will be transferred into the Game Product Trust Fund to be reinvested in the conservation of Namibia's wild animals, including in community conservancies, he added. All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. Before the weekend, check out those economic indicators.
It has been a wonderful sportful week, and it's about to be a sportful weekend. And Ari Rogan has more on the sports. Good morning, Ari. How are you?
Yes, a very good morning, Ida and Ashwin. It's a lovely Friday morning. Lots of sport to talk about. I'll start off with some football news. It is World Cup qualifying, soccer World Cup qualifying time next week, Qatar 2022. And news from that is that the Confederation of African Football, CAF, have asked the British government to give travel exemptions to African players that play in the English Premier League, and that is for them to play for the country next week. Some of the games next week: Wednesday, Senegal play Togo, and there's Sadio Mane of Liverpool that plays for Senegal, might be in action. And then on Thursday, it will be Egypt that play Angola, and Mohamed Salah is the player that they definitely Egypt want them to play. He also plays for Liverpool. And then on Friday, there's the big game. Zimbabwe plays South Africa, and a player like Marvelous Nakamba would definitely strengthen Zimbabwe. So we'll see if the British government gives that travel exemption for African players to play in those qualifiers. Some cricket news in England. It is India currently playing in England. Those are two captains, Kohli and Joe Root. And it is England at the moment that dominates the third test being played at Headingley. And India batted first, a dismal first innings, 78 all out. And then England replied 423 for 8 overnight. They will continue today. And they lead by a massive 345 runs. Joe Root, the captain of England, made 121 runs, and also South African-born David Malan from Paarl in Cape. He made 70 runs for England. On to some golf news. There's two big tournaments happening at the moment. Firstly, the men's European Masters that's being played in Switzerland. Lovely Switzerland there. James Morrison of England, he came in a round of 60. That is 10 under par. He's leading. He's from England. He's the countryman Marcus Armitage of England as well, -7. And then Southern African interest, the closest great round also for Dean Burmester. He's came in for a round of 64. That is 6 under par. And Dean Burmester plays under the South African flag, but he's actually born in Mutare, there in the eastern Zimbabwe. Also on the BMW Championships in the US PGA Tour, a strong field playing there at the moment. Sam Burns, -8. John Rahm and Rory McIlroy also on -8. They're leading, but also then Southern African interest, Erik van Rooyen, continuing his good form. And Erik van Rooyen came in on the 5 under par, so he's in contact of the leaders. That is Erik van Rooyen, really have a great season at the moment, playing great golf. On to some English Premier League. There's lots of games happening in the English Premier League. Just quickly happening tomorrow already. A big game, Manchester City host Arsenal. And then tomorrow afternoon, it's Liverpool that hosts Chelsea. On Sunday, it will be Tottenham Hotspur. That's got a good start. They will travel to Crystal Palace. And good news for them is that Harry Kane did commit to play the rest of the season for them. And then also news from Manchester United. Manchester United, they will be at home. They will play at Wolverhampton. And interesting news on the transfer scene is that there's speculation that Cristiano Ronaldo, at the age of 36, might leave Juventus to go and play for Manchester City. That is rumors that's going around at the moment. And lastly, just Formula One racing news. It is the Belgium Grand Prix that's going to take place on Sunday. Lots of interest there with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen really being competitive. Lewis Hamilton leading on 195 points in his Mercedes-Benz, and Max Verstappen in his Red Bull Honda, 187 points. They the two leaders. That will be a very interesting race again on Sunday. Constructors, 303 points for Mercedes-Benz and 291 for Red Bull. So lots happening at the sporting world. Let's see how the Formula One goes. Hopefully everybody can stay on the track, not like previous weeks where there were accidents. That's the sporting news for this week. I hope your team is going to do well this weekend, and we look at the results on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ari, for bringing us the news from the sporting world. After break, your headlines. Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you missed our top stories at the top of the hour, worry not, here are your headlines. Ethiopia Rights Commission says 150 killed in attack in Oromia. Uganda, South Sudan in talks over rampant fatal road ambushes. Tanzania, gunfire erupts near French embassy, 5 people killed. Malawi braces for another election challenge case. Largest proposed listing by a Namibian company since founding of local bourse. In football, the Confederation of Africa Football has requested the British government to allow African players to have travel exemptions into Africa to allow them to play next week in the World Cup qualifying games. All right, those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for joining us. We welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter, said Africa Good Morning. We also have a website. It's called One Up 2 for more content that you love to see. On that note, please take care of yourself during this weekend. Get vaccinated. Wear your mask and avoid unnecessary public gatherings.
Absolutely, and take care of your mental health as well. The Shona say chikuru kufema. The most important thing to do is to breathe. See you on Monday.